First and foremost, I want to thank you for supporting the first week of Ernest at Home. Even though it's under these circumstances and you're going to be finishing this meal in your home kitchen, I think what we've put together is really cool and very representative of the restaurant itself and what it is going to be once this is all over and we get to actually open our doors. But I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'm just going to start putting it all together with you. So first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab your steak. These things are 26 ounces. They're from Olivier's in the Dog Patch. They're really, really delicious. They're aged 21 days. You're going to want to take it out of the bag. I just use scissors. In the bag with the steak is some thyme and some garlic, and you just want to discard that. The steak's going to take the longest out of any of this, so you want to get this started first. So the first thing you're going to do with your steak is you're going to put it on top of a paper towel, and you're just going to blot any residual liquid that's left on it, so when you sear in your pan, it doesn't fizzle out and get grease everywhere and possibly start fire. The steak itself is already seasoned, so you don't need to do anything at this point, but we're just going to start searing in our pan over here. You don't have to, I'm going to use a cast iron to sear this. You don't have to use a cast iron. You can just use a regular stainless steel pan. You can use a non-stick pan, whatever you have in your home. You just want to control the heat on it, and that's going to be the most important part while you sear this steak. So now my pan's hot. I'm going to add a little bit of canola oil to it. You can use whatever oil you want, really. If you want to use olive oil, you can use olive oil, canola oil, soy oil, whatever kind of unflavored oil will work for this. And once you put it in, your oil is instantly going to become hot. You want to go ahead and just kind of move it around the pan so you have a solid sheen all across the bottom of hot oil. And you're going to go ahead and pick up your steak with your hand and put it in the pan. And you can hear that you're developing a nice sear. What we want to do is develop a nice crust on both sides of these steaks, or both sides of the steak, before we put it in the oven. So at this point, the steak's been in the pan for about a minute, minute and a half on a medium to high heat. You just want to see kind of these wisps of smoke on the edge. You don't really want it billowing or anything like that. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and flip it again and do another minute, minute and a half on the other side. So you can see the beautiful crust we've developed on this side. So it's been about a minute, minute and a half on this other side. It started to develop a crust really nicely, so we're going to go ahead. This is totally optional. You don't have to do this. From this point, you can just transfer the steak to a pan and go in your oven to finish. But I'm going to hit it with a little bit of butter. Just because I like this flavor a lot, it's going to add a deeper, richer, caramelized flavor to it. So we want it to foam like this. Just tilt your pan. Move your meat around. You can come to this side. You see how beautiful that is? And then just hit it a couple times like this. And go ahead. You can turn your heat off and just baste your steak a bit. From here, we're going to transfer this into the oven just to make sure it gets warm all the way through. So now that our steak's in the oven, we're going to go ahead and take the next step, which is your marble potato confit. You're going to open this up. You're going to see there's some lime in it. That's for a little bit later. But you're going to take your potatoes and just put them out on a tray like such. And then you're going to put these in the oven as well. So our steak and our potatoes are in the oven. We're going to go ahead and plate the California wedge, which is going to be the largest box you have in your bag. This is pretty much there. It's already composed in this box. We're just going to transfer it to a plate. And this whole meal is really meant to be kind of family style and just eat it with one or two of your friends, have fun with it. Yeah, all you're going to do is transfer this at this point. You're going to want to, once we get it all transferred out of this box here, you're going to want to season it with some salt. And I like a lot of pepper on my salad, so I'm going to put some pepper on it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and season this. This is my salt that I'm putting on my salad. And then I'm going to hit it with some pepper. And then you also have your green goddess dressing in one of the cup containers that we're just going to finish the top of this with. Really delicious, lots of herbs in this dressing, really bright. Just tastes really, really fresh. I love this salad. Now that the salad's all plated, looks beautiful, we can set it to the side while we finish the rest of the meal. I'm going to go ahead and pull the steak out of the oven and let it rest for a couple minutes before we slice it. One of the last things you have to reheat, or the last thing you have to reheat, is your spring vegetables. That is in the rectangular pan here. We have pickled radishes, roasted carrots, asparagus that's been cooked in its own juice, snap peas, snow peas, and poached turnips. I'm going to reheat these in my pan back here that I seared my steak in that still has the butter that I used and the beef fat, but it's just going to be a really quick process. We just want this to get warmed through. We don't really want to cook any of this very much. So I'm going to bring this over. I've got it on a fairly low heat, low to medium, and we're just going to go in. All these vegetables are already cooked in different ways. The radishes are pickled. So all we're doing is just reheating it, tossing it in that caramelized beef fat and caramelized butter. It's going to be really delicious with a steak. So our vegetables are all finished reheating. They've been tossed in all the fat. So real simply, all I'm going to do, turn the heat off, bring the pan over, and just kind of pick the vegetables out and plate them in our bowl. Okay, all our vegetables are in our serving dish. We're going to finish the top of it with just a tiny bit of crunchy salt. Or if you don't have crunchy salt, you can just use regular kosher salt there. And we're going to dress it with a little bit of the smoked miso vinaigrette that you have in your bag in a cup container. You're not going to use all this miso vinaigrette. I gave you all a little bit extra just in case you wanted more. But I would just real lightly, because this is so intense, just kind of drizzle it on top. Maybe 2 spoonfuls and go from there. If you want more, put more. If you want less, put less. So we can put that with our salad now on the table. So we're going to plate the second side dish now. I'm going to grab the cotija and lime aioli, which is for your potato confit that we're going to pull out of the oven in just a moment. I would take this, I'm using a bowl for it. I would take this, and you can put it on the side if you want, but I'm going to smear it all over the bottom of the bowl so the potatoes roll in it. Just put a tablespoon and a half and smear it all over the bottom of the bowl in kind of this direction. Kind of like so. And then grab your potatoes. Now you don't really want to dump these potatoes into here because the fat is kind of cooked off of them and it's on your tray, but just kind of pick them up and place them on top of your aioli. So our potatoes are all in our bowl on top of our aioli, our cotija and lime aioli. I'm going to finish it with just a tiny bit of salt on top. I'm just finishing salt. And then you can either squeeze your lime on now or you can squeeze it on later. I'm going to go ahead and squeeze it on now. Lots of nice lime juice in this. And put that with everything else. Last thing we need to do is slice the steak and serve the steak sauce with it. So our steak's nice and hot, but it's rested, so the juices have reabsorbed in it. We're just going to go ahead, I'm going to slice it. You don't have to. If you want to slice this at the table, you can do that, but I'm going to go ahead and slice it now. Just into thin strips. Steak is a nice medium, rare medium, right in between the two. I'm just going to slice all the way down. And go ahead. Once it's all sliced, use your knife. Pick it up. Put it on your plate. And fan it out real nice. And then just finish it with a little bit of crunchy salt on top. And on the side, we're going to serve our ramp and umeboshi steak sauce, which you'll find in a cup container in your bag. This ramps are wild onions. It's a pretty intense steak sauce, so I would start with a little bit and just kind of work my way from there. If you want more, put more. If you don't want to use it at all, you don't have to use it at all. We can put this right on the side here. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed finishing this meal in your home kitchens. Please take photos, tag me on social media. I want to see how Ernest at home looks in your home.